This video, I will go through card by card of dark magicians that are relevant. This will help you learn how to play dark magicians, and I will also teach you some combos you can do with these cards. Alright, I have made a pile of cards that should be relevant to the Dark Magician archetype, and time to go through card by card. The first card is, of course, Dark Magician. This is the card you will be summoning the most with a Dark Magician deck, and you gain some pretty powerful effects when you summon him. Next is Magician Souls. This is a combo piece that is relevant because it can give you access to Dark Magician either on the field or even in the graveyard, which most cards that summon Dark Magician find him useful in. The next card is Magician's Rod. This card, you can summon it and add any spell trap that mentions Dark Magician. This can be relevant because it can give you powerful cards that relate to Dark Magician, and of course make your board a lot stronger. This is Apprentice Illusion Magician. This is basically another substitute for Magician's Souls. You can special summon this card by discarding one card. If this card is normal special summoned, you can add one Dark Magician from your deck to your hand. So it just, instead of special summoning it or sending it to the graveyard, it adds it to your hand, which cards can still find Dark Magician useful in. The next card is Palladium Oracle Mahad. This card is relevant because when you draw it, you can show it and special summon it. And it's relevant because it's a level 7 and it has a effect where when it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon one Dark Magician from anywhere. And it can also be used for fusion summons or even Xyz summons using Dark Magician and himself. Next card is Timaeus the United Dragon. You can send one spellcaster monster or one spell trap that mentions Dark Magician from your hand or face up field to the graveyard and special summon this card from your hand. And while it's on your field, you can use its effect to fusion summon using Dark Magician. Fusion summon using Dark Magician with materials from your hand or field. So this can work quite well with Magician Souls. Just special summon Magician Soul, activate Magician Souls to special summon Dark Magician, and send one spell or trap or any spellcaster from your hand to the graveyard, summon him, and fusion summon a powerful fusion monster from your extra deck. Next card is Illusion of Chaos. Now this card deserves a spot in this video because it is like the bread and butter to most combos. This card You won't be summoning this card a lot, but it has an effect where in its hand you can reveal it and add either Magician's Souls, Magician's Rod, or even Illusion Magician, Paladin Oracle Mahad, and Timaeus the United Dragon. Its effect is so abstract and it's extremely useful. And it comes at no cost. You can use it, shuffle it into the deck, and now you have 2 times stronger hand. But even if you want to summon it, it's a great monster on the field as well. It's a negate. You can cancel out one of your opponent's effects. Just cancel it, and special summon Dark Magician, which is very useful in every Dark Magician deck. Next card is Dark Magic Attack. I put this card in because it can be lethal to most modern decks, as spells and traps have become a very powerful thing for deadly weapons. This can erase them and make your play safer. I have Timaeus. This is another fusion spell you can use on Dark Magician, but Dark Magician has to be on your field and this in your hand to use it. But the best thing about this is you do not need any other card. You can bring out absolutely any fusion monster that mentions Dark Magician in its fusion materials. Send Dark Magician to the graveyard and summon it, whether you have the other requirements or not. So it's quite useful if you don't have that much resources. Next is Bonnie, Teacher and Student. You can special summon a Dark Magician girl from your anywhere, and you have to control a Dark Magician for this effect though. But if you do use this card, you can add some other cards to your field, like Dark Magic Attack and alterations that you can use with Dark Magician Girl on the field. Generally, you want to bring out with this effect Dark Burning Magic, because you after you activate it, you will control both Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, which is the requirement for this. And with it you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. So just erase every card on the field and send them to the graveyard. It is absolutely crazy for setting up. And you get the special summon of a Dark Magician Girl, which can combo with the next card, which is this Magician's Salvation. When this card is activated, you can set 1 Eternal Soul directly from your deck, which is very useful because it can special summon Dark Magician from your hand or graveyard to set up, of course, effects. But once you summon Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, you can special summon the opposite from your graveyard. Next is Dark Magical Circle, the main card that gives you control over the opponent. When Dark Magician is summoned, you can banish 1 card your opponent controls, which just interrupts their plays entirely, because some decks require cards to be sent to the graveyard to play themselves, but by banishing them, they are not sent to the graveyard and you just got rid of an important card. But it's important to play this wisely, because this can only be used once per turn. But when it's first activated, brought to the field, you can check the top 3 cards of your deck and add Dark Magician if he is in the 3, or one spell or trap that mentions Dark Magician. The next card is Soul Servant. This is really good combined with Dark Magical Circle, because you can place a card onto the top of the deck that is Dark Magician or mentions Dark Magician, or even Dark Magician Girl. So you can activate Dark Magical Circle, then immediately activate Soul Servant to place a card onto the top of your deck. Then you can add it with Dark Magical Circle. But if you already have Dark Magician on the field or the graveyard, you can use its other effect to banish itself once it's been used and in the graveyard to draw a card. So you can set up the top card of your deck, and if Dark Magician's on the field or graveyard, you can banish it and draw that card. Next card is Secrets of Dark Magic. This is the third and most useful one of the most useful fusion spells for Dark Magician. You can ritual summon or fusion summon, and it's a quick play spell, which means you can do it during your opponent's turn or even in your battle phase to get more attack points onto the board. Next is Magician Navigation. This is an alternative for Eternal Soul when you do not have Dark Magician in your graveyard or Eternal Soul on the field. You can special summon Dark Magician from your hand and special summon Dark Magician or another level 7 or lower Dark Spellcaster from your deck. And while it's in the field, while Dark Magician's on the field and you control this card in your graveyard, you can banish it and target one spell or trap card your opponent controls and negate its effects. Most combos nowadays require spells and traps, so you can just cancel out their abilities during your turn or your opponent's turn, since this is a trap card, and just interrupt their plays, as well as summon a Dark Magician and trigger off cards like Dark Magical Circle or Magician's Salvation. And the final card is Eternal Soul, but I've already explained this, so now we will move on to the extra deck. First is Dark Paladin. Of course, you will not use Buster Blade as material. You mainly want to bring this out, if you're going to bring it out, with Eye of Timaeus. But the reason you'd want to bring it out is because this card can negate a spell card and destroy that spell card by simply discarding one card as many times as you want per turn. And it can gain attack for each dragon monster on the field and in the graveyard. So that means your opponent's field and graveyard as well. So if your opponent's playing dragons, this gains power. And Timaeus in the graveyard, the United Dragon, that can also counter this, because it's also a dragon and it's in the graveyard. So it gains another 500 attack. Next card is Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, my personal favorite fusion of them all. This card, it is treated as Dark Magician on your graveyard or field. So you can special summon this instead of a real Dark Magician and still get the bonus effects of Dark Magical Circle for the banish. And this card has a passive effect where your opponent cannot target spells or traps you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. This is an excellent alternative for Dark Magician, and it has higher attack points. It protects your spells and traps. Dark Cavalry. Once again, you may summon this with the Eye of Timaeus. It gains 100 attack for each spell or trap in the fields and the graveyards, including your opponents. And if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage. This means even though the monster's in defense position, you'll still deal damage. And also, when it's also a negate against a card that targets another card on the field. You can negate it by discarding a card and destroy it. The next card is the Dark Magicians. This card, you can special summon Dark Magician, the Dark Magician Girl, plus any one spellcaster monster. Once per turn, if a spell trap card is activated, you can draw a card. Then if it was a spell trap, you can set it. And if it was a trap or quick play spell, you can activate it this turn. This means if your opponent or yourself activates a spell trap during the opponent's turn, you can draw a card, but only once per turn. And if it's another interruption, you can set it and it can be activated. Master of Chaos. You can fusion summon this with Eye of Timaeus, Dark Magician, and Illusion of Chaos. This card, if it's fusion summoned, you can special summon. You can target one light or dark monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and you can also tribute a light and dark monster and banish all monsters your opponent controls. And if it is destroyed by battle card effect, you can add a spell in your graveyard to your hand. And the most recently added card is Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight of Magic. This card you can fuse with Dark Magician and a level 7 or higher dragon or warrior monster, which means Timaeus, things like that. And if this it does piercing damage as well, and when your monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, including this card's self, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the destroyed monster's original attack. So it can do piercing damage, and any monster that you control that destroys a monster opponent's controls, that damage your opponent will take will be equal to the destroyed monster's attack. Also, if this card is destroyed, you can special summon Dark Magician and Gaia the Dragon Champion. And Gaia the Dragon Champion is just this, but is a great way of getting attack power onto the board. And finally is the only Xyz monster you'll probably be running in Dark Magicians, as long as you're playing only Dark Magicians and not a hybrid. You can use 2 level 7 monsters to summon it, and you cannot cheat it out with Eye of Timaeus because it's not a fusion, it's an Xyz. So you can just detach one material during your turn to special summon a normal monster from your hand or deck, meaning Dark Magician. And when a Dark Magician, spellcaster normal, declares an attack, you can target one card your opponent controls and banish it. So it's great battle support. And that is it. So combos you can do. Well, I've explained all of them really. Alright, that's it for this video. Bye.